Washington.
Hey, I feel like I have to do that since Aaron's not here.
Yeah, yeah. What's up, everybody?
Hey, welcome everybody to Coffee Experts Club. Aaron is not here.
Mhm.
We got rid of him for the day because we've seen too much of him for the day.
I have.
So
Ben, I like what you're doing with your mustache these days, bro.
thanks, man. I'm in between trims, so it's starting to come out a little
It's nice.
handlebars.
You look distinguished.
I am a distinguished guy. Thank you very much for mentioning that. So we're talking about our last experts call with Mr. Malcolm Robinson from Gallon Jug down in Belize, and everything that he's doing down there. And I wanted to show. I actually just looked this up because I was curious. They was curious about what the is it Chanchich? I don't want to mispronounce it.
Chanchich.
Chanchich, what the lodge looks like that he runs down there, but holy cow. Like I know we were talking about like he lives in paradise, but this looks like freaking paradise.
Yeah. Yeah. It was,
Like
I remember getting flown out there and it was about a 30-minute flight over just rainforest. And then it's just a little clearing. Oh, it looks little from the sky, but when you get down there, it's quite extensive.
like, are you kidding me? That looks
Yeah,
amazing.
that's it.
Man, what a
That's it.
cool gosh, that'd be sick. So I would definitely say if anybody gets the chance to go down to Belize and they're looking for somewhere to stay, definitely stay there.
Yeah, and the way that they run it is it's so welcoming. You know, already Belize is pretty much known for its welcoming culture. But all the employees are very friendly, very kind, all the ones that I met. And it's really like almost a custom experience because you get there and they have their hands in so many different industries that you can explore. The things obviously you can pick out what you want to explore. You could be there for a week and there'd be more to see, from their coffee to they do horseback riding. They have sustainable, food grown there. They're creating their own hot sauces, and there's tons of things that you can explore. And it's really because it's kind of a, it's a unique experience. There's not a lot of people who go there all the time. It's not like you're going to get there during a busy season and be shoulder to shoulder. It's like,
Yeah,
going camping anywhere these days. You can't really go
yeah.
camping. So you go there and you have freedom to think.
That's kind of cool actually, because it looks like, I mean, it seems like it's in a resort, but you're not stuck with all the freaking goofy tourists like you'd be stuck with at a resort.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wide open. There's a lot of space and pretty exclusive.
Do they let you? I mean, I can't imagine just because of safety, but like how far can you like explore around on the grounds there? Do they discourage it, encourage it? I wonder.
I'm not really sure. To be totally honest, I got a nice tour with Malcolm. He drove us around in his truck, so I know there's plenty to explore. And I mean, they, like I said, they do horseback riding, and they have, horses. They have their own cowboys that live out there, and I'm sure if they give you a guide, and they probably have a tour that is, really cool experience. But if you wanted to explore further, I'm sure they wouldn't discourage it.
How cool. I remember we've been down to Costa Rica a couple times and it's beautiful down there, that sort of like remote rainforest, that kind of like the cliche, like when you imagine like a rainforest, that's what it is, like
Yeah.
monkeys swinging through all the trees and everything. Just when he was talking about like all the freaking animals that are down there, I was like, man, that's probably so cool.
Mhm. And we'd stop driving and have to look through binoculars to see if it was going to be some sort of big cat in the road or a deer or, several other things and there's families of toucans out there. And I remember he told me there's so many different kinds of species of birds that live out there. And, ones you don't see in the towns or, near the resorts because the animals obviously aren't really keen on hanging out by a resort.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when you went down there did you actually get a tour the coffee farm part where they were growing?
Yeah, they have actually a few different spots where they're growing coffee. On the resort. So they don't grow all in one place, but he did drive us through. When we went down, it was right after the hurricane that they had. And the hurricane went right over the resort. So they had some cleaning up to do. Obviously, a hurricane isn't a gentle process. But yeah, he showed us one of the areas that were growing coffee, and it's beautiful. And like he said, it's almost untouched by the animals, the local wildlife. They don't eat
So
it.
weird.
Probably the same reason we don't drink 6 shots of espresso a day. Eating raw
That's
beans
true.
probably gives them anxiety. So yeah, it was beautiful, beautiful area. And from where they grew the beans, that he also took us over to where it's processed and roasted and put in boxes. And it was a beautiful, beautiful warehouse. Really small team.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we sort of brushed over it on the call, but like him growing coffee at that altitude is, I mean, that's, you don't really do that, because I mean, you typically, the higher you grow coffee, the better quality you get, right? And typically
Mhm.
coffee doesn't like to grow that that close to sea level. And we just kind of brushed over it. And I wanted to make sure we touched on that, because like that's not nothing for them to be growing that much coffee that close to sea level. Like whatever it is they're doing out there, whether it's the soil, I mean, it's got to be a great combination of soil and, obviously the temperature and the humidity around there. But to be able to do that at next to near sea level is pretty amazing.
Well, and of course they make it look easy. He just drive us through there and talk about the process. And but it's probably pretty rigorous. You can't grow something where it doesn't want to grow.
Yeah.
Naturally, it's not going to produce the right kind of fruits. It's not going to grow in the right, it's not going to grow to its full fruition, so to speak. So I know they have. I mean, it's been in the family for years. I'm not sure how old that area is, but I know that they've been. He said 1983. Is that when he said they opened up out
It
there?
was
So
either 80, no, it was 90s, 1993.
93. So I mean, Belize itself is so the agriculture industry in Belize is a huge deal. They're really healthy soil, and obviously you have rainforests, and those aren't going to grow in places that the soil is not full of food. So
Yeah.
it probably helps. And it's the where he showed us where the coffee beans were, where the bushes where they were growing. It wasn't in all the time direct sunlight, and Belize you're almost always going to get direct sunlight. So they almost said they had taller, um, you know, foliage around it, I suppose,
Yep.
and where it would sometimes be getting a little bit of shade.
Yep. Yeah, I remember. I mean, it was way back. God, it's years ago now, but I remember there was that. I used to talk with at roasters with kids when they come through barista training. I used to talk about that group down in California that was growing, trying to get coffee off the ground in California, where they're having to do everything underneath apple orchard trees just to keep the humidity right, just to keep the sun from killing the beans. I don't know whatever happened to them, whether it really took off or not, but they were going for a while trying to make it happen. I'm just California, they probably had a drought or something and it all died.
California's prone too. Well, that's a family that's all they're doing is they're trying to grow that and figure out how to make it work and do it the best that they can. And this for Gallon Jug it wasn't their main
Mhm.
squeeze. So that's almost more amazing that it's almost like I said, they have their hands in many different industries. So something that is almost a hobby or a side project, and they're doing pretty successful at it. And some of the best coffee I've had came right out from Belize. So not where it should be grown.
What I mean, as you've traveled around there, where are Belizeans getting a lot of their coffee locally from him, or is a lot of it just imported? Do you
So
know?
a lot of it I think is imported, but on the same note, there are some local coffee farms. They're not the only farm there. There's another Ishmael is another gentleman that grows coffee out. I think San Antonio Village, and they have some pretty great coffee too. So, but a lot of it, even I had salesmen come in and tell me that they could help me import coffee from Guatemala, and we all talk about how great the Guatemalan coffee is, and it is. It's not bad coffee; it's really good coffee, but you don't want to be sleeping on that local Belizean coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if it's like if it's still small and you have the opportunity to say, hey, we're serving coffee like literally from your backyard. This is Belizean coffee. Because I assume that probably too the Belizean people are pretty proud of being Belizean. Like, so the more that you can say, hey, look, we're sourcing as much as we can from Belize, I think is a great selling point. I mean, that's a selling point we use in the States. We're like, we got our coffee from really close, not like super far away. But be able to say and believe that, like, yeah, this guy, he comes into town every once in a while to buy groceries. He grows the coffee, a few miles away. That's such a great selling point to have. It's something you could never have in the States.
It is, and it's kind of funny because just like we have both sides of that. They have some. I had a gentleman tell me, we from Belize we try to import things, so we have things that are different. He's like, but then you come in here and you're trying to use things that we have here and make it better. It's like there's a balance somewhere in between there.
Fair. Yeah, no, that's very fair. That's very
Yeah.
fair. So then have you seen his coffee? Does it stick primarily? I'm always trying to get like trying to picture the like size of Belize in my head, think of like how much it stretches out. Do you see his coffee primarily around where the Coffee de los Mayas is now, or do you see his coffee kind of spreading out throughout the country?
Gallon jug coffee.
Yeah.
They have a lot of customers all over the country. You can actually purchase, while we were able to customize a blend and work with them on, what exactly we wanted our bean to come out, tasting like and smelling like, and for espresso. They do have their signature blend in the stores. There's a restaurant right up the street from De Los Mayas that they sell it by the bag. They'll grind it up for you, and then there's some convenience stores, grocery stores that also sell it there. But they do have several different kinds. But they have some beautiful branding on those gallon jug bags.
Yeah. The question is, would Coffee de los Mayas start partnering and start selling whole bean?
Start selling whole bean?
Yeah.
I think that, that's something that we've been working on doing. And of course, branding is a big deal. So when we were there, I actually was asking them about, where do you get your bags and how do you guys get them branded? And it was a little ambiguous. So, bet the magicians never reveal their secrets. But I would love to see De Los Mayas selling whole bean, as long as the branding is there and as long as, of course, the packaging is proper, because I wouldn't want to misrepresent, first of all, gallon jug, and then De Los Mayas' quality by having some sort of package that can't maintain the quality of the bean.
Yeah. Yep. Fair. Man, all that stuff you have to think about when you're down in the thick of it. You're the distributor, the wholesaler, the retailer, the new location searcher. How is that going, by the way? Do you have any new insights on new locations for De Los Mayas? Any new info?
So we're actually just got off a call with an architect, local architect, one that we worked with for roasters. What we want to do is there's prefab buildings out on San Pedro for the resorts. They ship them, they build them in Belize and ship them over. So we're looking to somehow marry the two ideas of what exactly we want and what exactly would be the most convenient. But yeah, there's a couple locations right there on San Pedro that we're really interested in. And who wouldn't want a business on San Pedro? First of all, for just an excuse to go hang out on San Pedro. And second, to, of course, serve the people that are out there with our unique. I think it's a unique style. I know in the United States it's a saturated industry, but no two coffee shops do it the same. As much as it's cut and paste, we all steal from the greats a little bit. But when you put your spin on it, it's something unique. So San Pedro, it could handle multiple. I think it could handle multiple De Los Mayas, and I've always been kind of a dreamer. But it is growing. There's San Pedro's growing and Kicalker's growing. As the memory of COVID is becoming just that, just a memory of COVID. And Belize actually shut its borders down for quite a while. And so the tourism industry is just starting to wake back up there. And if we catch it right now, it could be a really good time to catch that wave.
San Pedro's the island, right?
Yeah, and Kicalker is actually an island as well. It's just a little bit smaller.
Gotcha.
A little more slow paced. San Pedro is quite massive in comparison.
Do you when you were running around down there? I know when we were in Costa Rica, Costa Rica is a huge retirement country. You got rich white folks up here who make a ton of money. They're like, I'm gonna go retire in Costa Rica, or they have a vacation home. Is it the same, you think, in Belize, or is it primarily just tourists coming down for a season? They come in, they peace out. Or do you see like a lot of, because I remember when I was in Costa Rica, like you go down the street and it's like gated community. You're like, oh, here's where all the retirees are.
Yeah.
Condos with a gate in the front. You're like, yep, that's where all the rich folks are. Is it the same down there in Belize? I wonder if that's like changing.
So I mean, when I first went down there, of course, I was fresh off the boat. I didn't know a single person. I didn't know what was left from right necessarily. So I actually got to know the locals really well, and their culture is similar in a way to it's Latin culture. They respect their elders, and um, there's a lot of wisdom to be gleaned off of people who have been around for a while. And so as I hung out there for a while, those are the types of questions that I was asking. And one point that they made to me was that it's actually harder to maintain the lifestyle that you want here in Belize than it is to, kind of pick up the way that is living is just done there. It's
Hmm.
our standard of living here, especially if you're a rich retired white person, wanting what you'd get here for that. It's just a little bit harder to maintain that. So,
Interesting.
as I think importing has been a absolute nightmare. So maybe as more people do, move down there and retire down there, and it'll be easier. But I think that's going to take a movement of that. There little pockets of retirees and expats down there, and
Mhm.
um, actually just outside San Ignacio, there's a village that is, that's what they call it, is that's where the expats live. They're out there down this road. And you can see and there's like riverfront property. It's beautiful. And you have like a little miniature forest in your backyard. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I mean, there are pockets of it, but I don't think that it's quite like Costa Rica yet. And San Pedro is an exception, because it's so developed, and there's so much tourism there that there's a lot of money always being spent on San Pedro. So that gives them the opportunity to, build and develop and
Yep.
try to increase, make things a little bit a different standard of living than what you get on the mainland. So I think personally that Belize is slept on. I think most people don't know how awesome it is. And one of the things that makes it awesome is that it is kind of a secret. It's
Yeah.
small. Belize is tiny, but the population is tiny too. And so there's space, there's so much space. There's acreage and acreage and acreage just available for you to develop. And
That's crazy.
because of where they're at, there's a lot of freedom in what you want to develop and how you want to develop it, and opportunities for sustainability and opportunities to um, just be a homesteader if you want, something like that.
Well, I remember in Costa Rica, like when we were there, they have a federal law that if you because I mean in Costa Rica, there's still so much of it is underdeveloped and it's just overgrown with jungle, and they want to develop it. They have a federal law that if you can basically squat on federal land for 10 years, and as long as you are increasing the value of that land, putting in roads, putting in infrastructure, putting in plumbing, after 10 years, they'll actually give that land to you as long as you've basically made it now a habitable spot.
Hmm.
So I know that's what a lot of retirees will do is they'll go find a plot of federal land, they'll bulldoze, there's just a complete overgrowth, put in roads, put in, plumbing, and after a while the government says, okay, you can have it now. Like, so that's the way to do it. I mean, if
That
Belize
sounds
wants
nice.
to bring some people down, give me a plot of land to sit on. I'll build a house and like throw
Yeah.
some solar panels on, throw a water catcher, put in the road, and then give it to me.
I'll go out and cut like a bush down every once in a while, just increase the property value slowly, slowly.
Yeah, just increasing the property value. I think, but yeah, you're right though. That's probably why Belize is so great, is because it's not just completely overrun with tourists. That's always like the double-edged sword of tourism, is it brings in great money, but they freaking suck. Like
Yeah.
70% of tourists suck, but at the same time, like you need tourists to increase just the awareness of the country. I mean, I hadn't even thought about Belize before. You guys were talking with the De Los Mayos folks and talking about De Los Mayos. I was like, Belize, I've heard that before, but I've never even really looked at it, which
Yeah,
is, I
it's
mean,
it's little. It's a tiny little chunk out of the side of Mexico and Guatemala and Honduras. So
it's in
um,
such a great little pocket too.
it is, and it's blessed. I'd say, of course, that I just caught the whole "it's a blessed place" by living there for so long with the people. But it is, I mean, most of the hurricanes that like I was in the eye of the storm for this last hurricane, and while it did tear, it did tear some stuff up, it wasn't as bad as you'd think. And
Hmm.
uh, maybe that's just my ignorant self talking. That hurricane wasn't as bad as you'd think. Um, it's like in a pocket like this. So it's right here. So by the time the hurricane hits, it's kind of slowed down because it's hit the other side, or it's at the
Yeah.
peninsula. It's caught land already. And so by the time it gets to Belize, it's not quite as powerful as it was. So while they do have their hurricanes, it's not as bad as what you'd see in Florida.
Interesting. So do you see Mr. Moody going to retire down there at any time soon in San Pedro?
Who?
You.
Me? Yeah, of course. I'm gonna go squat on some federal land and just see if that works out for me.
How difficult is it to become a citizen down there? That's the next question.
I've heard a lot of things. I've heard a lot of different things about how it's done. And it's like some kind of a little bit Wild West down there. So probably most of those things are true, even if they're conflicting. It's not all that difficult. You just have to do your monthly check-ins, with the immigration office. And I think it's about a year that you spend doing, getting your work
Yeah.
permit and checking in every month and paying. It's like 200 Belize dollars to get your stamp, your time extended there. And then, or on the flip side, you could just buy some land and then you get rights of a citizen, and land's pretty cheap.
Really?
That's the shortcut.
So you just basically got to grease some palms, a
That's
little bit of
yes,
cash.
not what I said, but yeah. In other words, yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. So if you buy land basically and develop, then you get at least like, is it through your land then that you get the citizens' rights?
Maybe as I haven't done it yet, but we'll see. I'll go find a little piece of land and buy it and just see what happens. And
Seriously, I was like, get yourself a little piece of beach in San Pedro, build
yeah,
work with De Los Mayas and be like build like a shop slash apartment above.
yeah, the living quarters on top. Yeah, that's the dream.
Oh man. Well, I now that we've sufficiently told everybody what to do and how to get to become a Belizean citizen, or you could just go the Malcolm route, right, and just have somebody offer you a job and then just never leave.
Yeah, yeah. That and Malcolm is an incredible dude, and the opportunity was an incredible opportunity. So, that's a fully sustainable community out there. They don't need anything from anybody out there. They have everything. Like you said, they have 70 live-in employees that are full time.
Yeah, and he said that they have schools out there, which is
Yeah,
crazy to me. Like literally, he's got like a little city out there. He's
it's
got a
exactly what it
school, he's
is.
got a store, he's got farms. Like, I mean, well, it makes sense though too, because you said what, it's 30-minute plane ride in.
Yeah, it was about 30 minutes from Spanish Lookout, which is it's hard to describe exactly where that is, but just yeah, through dense jungle. I was looking down, and it's like you couldn't walk through that. You couldn't make your way through that unless you had a machete and a lot of time on your hands.
Man, yeah, then you have to be self-sustaining if that's because like
Yeah,
if you get through a bad storm, what are you gonna do? Just like hike on out to the to
yeah,
the gas station? It's not gonna
yeah.
happen.
Yeah, and I think there's a little, of course, there's a road in and there's a road out, but it's a little jungle road. I was looking at it from the sky, and it's tiny little road, and on both sides of it is forest. So they do have their own little airstrip out there. Yeah, and I mean, they don't need to import necessarily anything or export things, but I think it's part of the beauty of what they do out there is that they are a huge part of the community out there, and they can give, they produce and they can give, and they create, they
Mhm.
create, they stimulate the economy, so to speak, by providing meat or providing vegetables, or they do the hot sauce. Like their hot sauces throughout Belize, they sell all throughout Belize. But that also is beautiful that they can just take care of the people that live there. And of course, there's not a lot of cars. There's some roads throughout their little city,
Mhm.
but they provide the vehicles to the people that live there too, because it's they bus them to where they need to be. And yeah, as I was trying to wrap my mind around it, it'd be such an interesting life, especially from somebody like us, where we come from up here and everything's fast, 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 fast.
Yeah.
Everything you could want as fast as you could want it. Realizing that wants aren't needs, and you go there, and everything you need all the time. You don't need anything extra is provided, and it's slower.
Yep.
But it's that's part of the beauty, you know, it's getting you back to your roots of being able to just kind of appreciate, you know, life and nature, because man, it is a beautiful, beautiful piece
Yeah,
of nature.
I was gonna say that's why we all run down there, right? So we can slow down for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
But to live like that, man, that'd be so cool. Yeah, I don't know if I couldn't do it now, but I get the allure when you're in your 40s, 50s, you know, getting close to retirement age. Like I could definitely see myself sitting on the front porch staring out at the jungle all day with a
Oh
beer
yeah.
or a cup of coffee in my hand, just like this is what I do now. Just
Yeah.
watch the birds go by. I could
Yeah.
easily do that.
Watch nature do its thing, you know, and it's done its thing long before us, and it'll do its thing long after us. It's nice to just kind of get to see it do its thing for a little while I'm here.
Yep. And it's
Yeah.
nice to actually have a place like you could like the lodge there where you could, you know, if we can't, you can jump down there for a week and check it out. Check out the coffee growing process. He also has his hands in doesn't he have a few other industries that he works with? Does he works with the Coca-Cola down there? That's Malcolm, right?
So yeah, that's Bowen and Bowen is the company actually that the, you know, the man behind the curtain. It was a gentleman who started it, and now you know, he passed away, and now his son runs it. But what they did was purchased, you know, the Coca-Cola name a long time ago, which, as we've learned, I'm gonna buy Starbucks's name. Just kidding, Starbucks down there. It could be incredibly lucrative if it's not already a patented thing. So they purchased a name, and they do, and it's great Coca-Cola. I mean, I had it. They sell mostly glass. A lot of it they use in Belize glass bottles, and they recycle like to a obsessively almost,
Wow.
because hey, come here, because of course sustainability is important.
Hmm.
And yeah, they do have the Belican beers, the beer of Belize. It's trade, you know, it's got a, on the logo is a temple, you know, and yeah, it's an amazing industry, and the way that they've done it has been so smart. And they own all the rainforest I said we flew over. They own all of that, you know. So
Wow.
it's just so smart to be able to purchase land like that and then use it to stimulate the community around you to make it a better place.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the ultimate awesome thing is you do have there's that like balance between like nature and development. Like, and if you can get that balance right, you can have some really great developed spots that are stimulating local economy,
Mhm.
pumping money into the economy, spending money in the economy, helping the people there, whilst also being able to keep like a really good balance on like, you know, this is we're not going to touch unless we really have to the nature around us because everyone
Yeah,
wants to enjoy that.
yeah, exactly. Because what's the point? It was what is it? Pave paradise and put up a parking lot. Right? That's old song.
Yeah.
Well, in Shincheech, you know, one last word on it is, it's such an amazing thing that it is generational. You know, people will come
Yeah.
there when they're, say, on your honeymoon, and then, you know, you grow up a little bit and you just continue to go there year after year. And what Mal said, they feel like they own the place because they come there every year, and they kind of do. You know, that's they appreciate it, and they do need it. It's there to be appreciated. So you know, you'll go for your life, and then you'll bring your kids eventually, and your kids, and then you'll pass away, and then your kids, and
Yep.
it is like a family. Like, you're going to get to know the people that live and work out there, because that's what he said, the employees are also similar. You know, say I move out there and I work and I end up having kids. I work out there till I'm, you know, 70, and my kids are going to be working out there, and it's like a big family, and that's
Yeah.
the beauty of it all.
Yeah. And as you visit, you also get to see those employees' kids grow up and that is really cool. It's a really
Hmm.
cool, that's a special thing that you don't get that often.
No, especially around here.
That's true.
All
Well, Drew, it's been fun talking.
right,
We'll
brother.
catch up with everybody next week on the next episode of Coffee Experts Club.
Have a good week, everybody.
Good day.